Let's do something or other. Roll call.
Morgan here.
Aaron here.
Davis here.
Phillips here.
Walker here.
Steele here.
And we got Shelley on the speakerphone right here.
Okay. Hi, Shelley.
Shelley, can you hear him?
Kind of.
Okay, well, I mean, it's the best I can do with speakerphone.
Pop it up or something. Here. Take one, a couple of these.
You might need to be on mute.
No.
We can hear you fine, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Do you want me to put you right by Kathy so you can hear better?
And that way, if I need to hear
Okay.
Is the volume up all the way on it?
It is.
Okay. Everybody's here, public comment. You have a public comment? No, you're just here? Okay. Unfinished business, current water projects discussion about the study to determine the best options for recommendation to council. Which I don't think we're there yet anyway, right?
Well, I'll just,
So
jump in
this
there.
is Jason's,
yeah, so we had a discussion with our city engineer, John Christensen, Shelley and I. And the Merkley grant is gonna give us pretty much all the answers we need as far as cost for the intertie, cost for the hookup, the blending cost, so on and so forth. So we're just gonna make that a high level study so we can get back to you guys with exact numbers. So,
The cost of the hookup for what, Hillsborough or Mac, or just as whole, as a whole?
Both, on stuff,
Both?
yeah.
Oh, good.
Is there a timeline?
I wanna say within the next, Shelley, can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you.
What is the Merkley projection as far as timeline for that to be granted to us?
So I just got an email today. I reached out and asked about when the funding might be coming. She said they were kind of backlogged, but I CC'd Merkley's office and they piped in and said, hey, can you kind of make this a priority for the city? So she said she would. So she's checking into when we might hear on receiving the funding. And so as soon as we know that, John and ATS can start the study. I'm told it should take a few months, maybe 2 to 3, right, Jason?
That's correct.
But yeah, so basically in the meeting with John, like Jason was saying, you know, we were kind of trying to continue the prioritization of which one, you know, would be the best option to pursue, and asking Jason to go to Mac and go to Hillsborough and get dollars, which it's really not feasible to do right now because it requires engineering to get any true understanding of those costs and timeline. And so, you know, basically the bottom line is, in order for us to not spend any money unwisely or before we should, it's just best to wait until we can actually finish this study. So wait a few months, let the study dictate what the most cost effective and most efficient route would be between piping from the impound to the plant and Hillsborough, Mac, and any other options. So as soon as we get that study done, then we can, you know, discuss as a committee the best options, the priorities, and bring that before council. But it's basically premature for us to be having these conversations until we have that information. And it's premature for Jason to try to get any more information from those organizations because they can't answer that until we have this study done with some of that engineering work done.
Shelley, can you tell me how much the Merkley grant was?
It was 48 was our portion, 192, I believe, was the money that we're supposed to be receiving from the federal government. So that total was, is it 240? Does that add up?
Yeah,
Close enough.
you're roughly in the ballpark.
I understand you're talking about the grant to make these, the study of these 4
Yep.
options, yeah.
yep, so any further discussion on that one?
No, like Shelley stated and I stated, I think it's best to wait for high level engineering to come back before we
Sure.
just make
No, it
estimations.
makes sense, all the sense, because we're just sitting here guessing.
Yeah, I think we probably need to take a vote about tabling the conversation until we have that. Or just make a motion to table it, however the procedure is.
Do you want to make a motion at the end of the meeting to table the whole meeting process until we get the answers back?
I mean, I think that's the biggest agenda item that we really need to bring before council. The rest of it is, not necessarily directions from council.
Sure.
And so, I really think, I think the focus of this committee is to bring recommendations to council.
Okay. So we need to entertain a motion to put everything on these 4 items on hold until the Merkley grant's done and the studies are completed.
After the end of the meeting.
Anybody want to make that motion?
I think Bob's asking that we do that at the end.
Oh, at the end?
Yes.
Okay, I guess Bob wants it at the end. So we're on B, further discussion on Patty's recommendation for new lawn restrictions code amendment.
So the reason that I brought this up is a couple months ago, I don't know if it was an old one or whatever, but it stated in there that new lawns could be watered even if they were less than 90 days old, even if we were in a water shortage, which bothered me because of that specific reason. We're in a water shortage. So this is actually, we don't need to even address this because I went through the restrictions today again to make sure that it matched what I have in my thing here. Somewhere along the line that was removed and I didn't see it.
Okay.
So it's
It's
a
done.
moot point.
Okay. New
I'm
business,
not sure what's going on, but it's cutting out. Is there?
nothing. She said it's a mute point. That statement's been taken out of the ordinances, so and her lawn watering restriction is kind of a mute point. We're on to number 4 here, Robert, recommendation for signage at impound.
Yeah, first of all, I'd like to make a comment. I asked to have 2 items added to the agenda. The first item added to the agenda was a proposal for water pipeline project from Barney Reservoir to Turner Creek. And the reason I asked to hold up on this vote is so I could get this little blurb in here that really needs to be said.
For your information, that was moved up to the top where it was listing the
Last year.
projects. The Marine Reservoir portion was
Well,
your suggestion.
it doesn't identify as that, so.
And just a clarification too, we never reached level 4. It was only a 3. In your paperwork.
Okay, if that's what you say. I found it level 4, but I'll make a note for here. In any case, I reached out to a few people to find out about this possible pipeline. I reached out to the Hillsborough Water District 4 months ago or 5 months ago, asking if Yamhill has the ability to put a pipe into Barney, if it would be at all possible. Never got a reply for the first 2 or 3 months. I wound up working at KBU as an engineer for 3 months. So I got back to Hillsborough 2 weeks ago and found out that they had actually replied to my request by an email and a voicemail, which I missed, that said, yes, they would approve with obviously restrictions that we submit a formal request to put a pipeline in from the top of Turner Creek to the bottom of Barney Reservoir, 3/4 of a mile. And they would entertain that fact. Obviously, there's going to be restrictions and hoops and things we need to jump through to get that done, but I thought that was a pretty good step forward where we actually got permission to apply for that. Other than that, that's all I wanted to say for Barney Reservoir and Turner Creek. My second agenda item was proposal for new legal signage. While I was up at Barney Reservoir several times, I happened to notice the signage that was on every couple of blocks
Yeah, copy of that.
surrounding, surrounding Body Reservoir.
The signage for Barney has always been like that.
Mhm.
We have a sign down at ours.
So anyway, what it says is warning, tampering with this facility is a federal offense. Use code title 42 section blah, 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 911 or notify city of Hillsborough with a phone number. So they also have this signage.
Well, we don't have a dam to fall into.
That if you were to breach that, you could basically hurt yourself. And this is what we have on our impound, which says no trespassing. City of Yamhill domestic water facility. And to me, that's like a big red flag going, oh, look, here's our water source. I wouldn't necessarily have put that there, but City of Yamhill Public Works, Oregon, anyway, City of Yamhill. So what I'm suggesting is that we change the sign to something like this, which makes it a federal offense, which it would be, tampering with our water system. And gets rid of the fact that it identifies the source as our water supply. And makes it generic. So that is my request, and I'm hoping everybody will agree.
So where's, I don't understand, where's the city of Yamhill sign at?
At the pond.
It's right at the gate.
That just supplements our water.
Right
Yeah,
at
but
the
it's
gate.
not a very big, it's not a deterrent for somebody to not go in there and start futzing around.
It's
You
right at
know,
the
There's
gate.
cameras up there.
when it says it's a federal offense, that's a little more of a deterrent,
And that just.
you know?
And it doesn't identify it as the city domestic water facility.
There are cameras up there now. And they are accessible 24/7. I mean,
So, yeah. So I'm looking at the city of Portland's water supply at their reservoirs, and they don't notice anything about it being a federal offense. Do we know that it's a federal
I
offense?
don't know, that's. Oh,
How about code title 42, section 3?
That would be Hillsborough's.
Title 42, all 911.
I mean, it'd be easy enough to look up if it's a federal offense or not.
Mhm.
Kathy,
Yeah,
could you just summarize quickly what he said, because I couldn't hear it cut out?
he's concerned about the signage around at the,
Impact.
at the impound. He thinks we need to change it to where it says that warning tampering with this facility is a federal offense type sign instead of what's there.
Instead of this.
Which
No.
I'd have to go see what, I don't know what city of McMinnville's got around their plan up there, but I know there's a couple
They've got
signs.
the fence that goes.
Yeah, you know, so, but,
it could very well be a federal.
Aren't there
yeah.
state and federal requirements about what needs to be posted in our plan?
And that might be the case, and maybe it's just something that you guys could look into.
So this, it says here that, well, trespassing on a water reservoir itself may not be considered a federal crime. In most cases, entering a water reservoir that is considered a critical infrastructure without authorization could be considered a federal crime under the Critical Infrastructure Protection Act, depending on the specific circumstances and location of the reservoir. And then it goes on to critical infrastructure. If there's a water reservoir that's deemed critical infrastructure facility, trespassing on it could fall under that law. Most trespassing on water reservoirs would likely be handled by state and local laws, with penalties varying depending on jurisdiction. So that's something we can look into.
Yeah.
No,
If it should be, then it should be.
that's all I'm asking is bring it up for discussion.
Yeah.
Everything else.
That is weird. It is weird.
Yeah,
You can do all that rec up there, but it's a federal fence to,
Probably where the dam is.
yeah, I don't
I
know.
mean, I could almost see that signage being better suited at our reservoirs.
For sure.
Yeah,
Sort of than the impound, yeah.
yeah,
So we'll look into it.
Yeah.
The impound, I
For sure,
think,
let's look into that.
is gonna get more activity from the wildlife than it is people,
Yeah,
in all reality.
Or at least change the sign so it doesn't identify our area's domestic water facility.
like I said, well, we'll look into it and see what the best.
Cause I think that's just asking for, you know,
Vandalism.
yeah. You know, frankly, it wouldn't take nothing for somebody to take a package and throw it out into that, throw it out into that impound and poison the water system immediately.
Yeah.
But who
All
would think,
hypothetical.
who would think somebody would be like that? But you know,
I get it, I'm just saying. I
anytime,
don't think a
any,
sign's gonna stop somebody.
Science not gonna stop them if they're.
So-
No, if they're gonna, that's their
Somebody that
intent,
evil.
doesn't matter what kind of signage you have, even if you have it fenced
Yeah.
completely around.
It's gonna go get filtered through the water plant.
Yeah. Yeah,
and I even thought about having those signs up at the water treatment plant too.
yeah, like I said, we'll look into it, I mean, signage is affordable, it's cheap to apply.
Yeah,
I just want to make sure we're doing. Right.
by the book, yeah. Yeah, yeah. So I'm done, thank you.
All right, so, the last thing on the agenda is discussion of a hiatus in the water advisory meetings until study is completed with the Mercury grant.
Yep.
So that makes sense to me.
I agree.
I'm good. Can I give a couple of updates?
Sure, I guess.
One of them is not an update. One is the results of the water committee accomplishments, the one that 2 or 3 pages, whatever it was. Do we have the ability to post that somewhere, whether it be on the water committee portion of the thing or what?
I don't know if we can, because I don't know if it's official city minutes, so I think that would be an issue.
No, it's not minutes. It's just information gathered from each one of the
Yeah,
meetings.
we would have to review all of it and make sure before we can post anything on our website.
Yeah.
Okay, so,
All the videos are already posted,
right,
so. I just want to make sure that I'm not putting stuff on the website that shouldn't be.
okay. So if I give you a copy of that, because I don't know if you have it still. Could you potentially look at that and post that in the water committee part of it?
The problem, Patty, is I wasn't here back when they started the committee, so I would have to review all of the videos and all of that,
Oh,
and that's what I was trying to
seriously?
avoid in the first place.
Even though I went through it with Jason and Shelley before I even
Well,
printed it?
Shelley wasn't here either. I mean,
I'm trying to figure out what is,
Yeah, I don't know.
what is it gonna gain by putting it on?
It's for, the purpose of it to begin with was because specifically, somebody that attended one of the meetings wanted to know what the water committee had been doing, period. So I took the time and went through all the videos, took the notes, reviewed it with, yeah,
I think it's okay for you to go ahead and share your summary with Rocky. I think that's who it was
Yeah.
who wanted it.
Yeah.
Okay.
Share the summary, but as far as official city minutes go, it probably can't be, recorded as that. But you can go ahead and share the summary that you did with him.
Yeah.
yeah, okay, that's fine.
That's what I would.
And I guess I could make it available if anybody else wanted it. Okay, the other thing is, I wanted to give an update on the phone tree. Angie called me a week ago or whatever it was, told me that there was a water line break over on Third. But at that point, I did not have anybody on the list. So, but I loved the fact that you called me because then if I would have, then I could have called somebody. And so I have not handed out all the flyers yet. But I am in the process of getting that done. I do have some made, I just don't have them all made, so over the next few days, I will be getting the rest of them out, and I do have one response, but that was just after one day or half a day of getting some of the flyers out. So I'm hoping that this will solve the problem of some people not knowing what's going on.
I'm happy to continue to call you the way I did. The text messages were sent to the people specifically on that walk, but I didn't want to send it all across the board because it causes confusion.
It does.
When the whole city hears about a break that's in one part.
Right.
So, yeah, the way we did it, I was really happy with it, and I think that that message got to who needed to, and as you gather more people on your list, I'll
Yeah.
continue to make those calls.
And I have requested that I get their address so that if anything like that happens, I can specifically call the ones that it pertains to as a whole, instead of calling everybody. So hopefully this is gonna work out and everybody's gonna be much happier that they know what's going on.
So you're able to send out a text message to everybody in a certain area?
I am, yes, it
Oh, that's
was
cool.
at first it was, I don't know if that was something that's changed in Amston, or I just noticed that feature that it lets me narrow it down by street or by area. So I don't have to do the whole city, oh, there's a line break over here. I can kind of pick out, which areas I wanna send the text messages to, so.
Good job.
Kathy, I don't know how much more is on the agenda, but I want to register my vote because I got to go into my appointment here.
Okay, so let's,
Hang on a second. I'd like to say one more thing before we close.
Well, she just like to make the motion that we're not.
I
gonna
understand,
continue,
but
And then you can talk before,
I need to say this before we make that motion. And here's the issue.
well,
As an individual, a homeowner here in the Yamhill for 40 years, a founder of a nonprofit organization and a member of this chapter chamber board, I reached out to a few people several weeks ago to find out about the impound and when it can be dredged and when it can't. It came to my opinion and came to me that maybe the dates that Jason believes can be dredged may not be completely accurate. So I reached out to a few people to find this out. In the meantime, I guess I ruffled a few feathers and got pushback from several people who called the city wanting to know why I was after this information and to cease and desist from a phone call from Shelley. With that said, I believe this organization's, this water committee's job is to find out truthful and factual information. So I'm asking this committee to support me when I reach out to somebody like that. Whereas I'm not doing it on my own, I'm doing it for the benefit of this organization, which I have documentation I will share with everybody over this situation. But if it's not the job of this water advisory committee to find factual information out, I don't understand what this committee's job is if it's not that.
It's not to fact check the professionals, that's for one.
No, I'm not fact checking anybody.
Bottom, can I, working to be respectful of Shelley's time if she has another meeting to step into.
Let me add one thing, Bob, too, because you and I talked about this yesterday, and just a reminder that it is the job of this committee to get facts to advise the council. However, it is important that we follow protocol and procedure. And if an individual is directed by this committee to reach out, that's the appropriate procedure. We can't independently on our own reach out on behalf of the committee without the direction and agreement of the committee.
Yeah,
So as an
I
individual, that's one thing, but as a member of this committee, unless that's been the directive of the committee, you just can't act on behalf until that's the case, so.
right, I understand that. We talked about that and I'm fine, well and good with all that. If I don't get the support of this committee, then I'll let the whole thing drop. But to me, that's just part of this job, is to get factual information. And like I said, I've got 8 pages
It
here.
is, so you just need to, instead of calling the resource advisory next time, bring that, hey, I want to reach out to them and get these facts to this committee. And then this committee as a group will decide, yeah, that's a good idea. And Bob, you're the person we're directing to do that.
I have no
That's the
problem
step-
with
That's the
that.
step that was missed.
That's the
So we need to
reason.
Make sure and follow that.
And that's the reason I didn't want to take this vote yet, because yet if we censure this group from discussing for the next several months, I mean, you know, there's lots of things that we can talk about that we need to talk about. So that's just my opinion. So whether you're against me or for me, I don't know.
So if I could say, I don't think that it's a with you or against you.
Guys, I'm sorry.
Okay, Shelley.
Yep. But the reality of it is, and with
We'll get it.
My vote is to, table this committee until we have more information.
Okay.
Thank you, Shelley.
If I can record that early, I don't know if that's allowed, but,
Well, we'll see.
okay, bye.
So, Bob, I understand where you're coming from, and I get it, because Jason will agree that I have some frustrations as well with hitting pause buttons and so forth when we need water right away. But the reality of it is the Merkley grant and that study will give us a lot of information about what we can and cannot do. And that is not limited, and it doesn't exclude anything looking like Barney or anything else.
No, I
I mean, those things are possible options for that.
I noticed it's listed on
Mhm.
Hillsborough, Tyne, McMinnville, Impound, and Bonnie Reservoir, which are all valid.
So one of the things that drives me the most crazy, Bob, is that government moves about in reverse, it seems like. And the reality of it is that this money that we were fortunate enough to receive from Senator Merkley's office is it's a valuable resource, and it's gonna build a lot of things. So here's the reality. If you believe, as some others do, myself included sometimes, that the Barney is the correct answer, in 2 months, the report will show that, and you'll actually have information that you can say, this is exactly why we should be doing that.
No?
Right? Now, if you are wrong and it's McMinnville, or if it's Hillsborough, for some reason, that'll also come to light.
Yeah.
So myself, I'm willing to accept the fact that I might be incorrect and it might be a better way, but I doubt it.
No,
But so at any rate, I think we just have to be patient. And this is just my recommendation, is that we do hit the pause button for just a bit. Let's let AKS get their thing done. I appreciate Shelley reaching out to Merkley and like, let's put get this moving fast. I actually have a meeting with them, I believe, next month, or next week rather. So that's something that I can do as well, and I'll reach out to Gustavo, his field rep. And just, squeaky wheel gets the grease type of thing, hopefully.
sure.
Get AKS working, maybe we can put a little, let's go. Would that be okay with you, Bob? Now, that doesn't mean that we can't talk about it and make plans about things, like if this happens, then let's look at this, this, and this. Come up with a great plan. When we meet again, we'll have stuff to just, to be able to hand
I'm
around
just
that
worried
day.
that they're gonna put our committee on hiatus for several months to not be able to talk about relevant things. That's what I'm concerned about.
We can still talk about it, just not an official committee.
Okay,
Yep.
yeah, I got.
So I have a concern with that. And the reason being, not necessarily this specific thing. And I'm gonna use the district contracts, for instance, because nothing was said on that this meeting. The majority of people that have had anything to do with the contracts know diddly about them. And I say that because I hear people talking about the contracts. They don't know anything about them. I do, because I have been pushing to get those contracts updated even before I was on this water committee. So the way I'm hearing it is that I, as an individual within this, should not pursue that until I get approval from everybody on here.
Well, that's why we have a committee.
Yeah, but
There's nothing we could stop you from doing that on your own and gathering that information.
I did beforehand, but I have talked to Shelley about it. And I don't remember,
Because staff can handle it.
but it's not, the staff is not handling it.
That's
And
correct.
that's my
You know
frustration.
what we do every day.
So, well, but
But Kim, the point is.
I want to
that-
interject real quick, because I'm gonna extinguish a fire before one starts. It was the last council that said that was gonna be a priority. and never once did it come up in accounts, right? So it's
Right.
not so council directs staff to do things. If council never directs staff to do it, they can't do it. Or they shouldn't, they have other things to do. They're very busy people. So,
But again, let me just reiterate, you guys don't know what we do all day.
No, I don't, and I'm not, but the point is that the contracts are supposed to be updated yearly. Specifically says that in them, with the
Reviewed.
exception of two.
Reviewed.
They're supposed to be
And if there's any
updated.
changes,
Continue
if there's
with
any
less
changes, unless changed.
Yeah.
Anyway, the point is
Okay, I
that,
remember reading.
yeah, so I have read those, Patty, and here's the thing, is that in all reality, we have a work session that is a Saturday, all day, whatever, coming up. That is on one of the things that we're gonna be discussing. It's not that they're not being paid attention to with new council. That's high on my list.
my understanding is that they were with the attorneys, but now it appears that they're not.
I don't believe that they are.
Copies. We have the original documents.
I understand that, but I gave information to Shelley because I went through every document and I made a list of what was different between all the contracts that I have, with the exception of, whatever the one is that never has had a contract. Can't think of the name of the road now, but
He has a contract.
now he
I
has a
showed it to
contract.
you.
No,
It's been 2 years.
no, I do not have a copy of that contract. So, but the point is Dryer Lane,
He has a contract.
okay, but I do not have a copy of that. But the point is, I gave a list to Shelley of the differences between the contracts a few months ago. She was going to send those to the attorney to have those contracts updated so that they were all the same.
And they could probably still be doing it. I don't know. That's a Shelley question.
Okay. But you all just said that they're not with the attorneys.
I don't know. I didn't, you said that. You said they
No.
were with the attorneys.
Supposedly they
But
are.
I have the physical contracts. We have all the physical
Well,
contracts.
you should. I'm
So I
assuming
was
they
kind of
got copies
confused
of
about,
it.
I think you need to speak about this with Shelley to see where they are in the process, but I know as of February of last year, council meeting, they said they don't want the water advisory meeting.
Yeah.
dealing with the water contract. So until that changes, the water advisory wouldn't be dealing with. the
Okay,
water.
but that's part of what the problem has been, is that nobody's dealing with them. Nobody is dealing with them, not city council,
So-
not city hall, nobody. And that's where I stepped in and said, before I was even on this,
And did you follow up with Shelley and ask her? You said.
I
that you
keep
guys-
putting it on the agenda.
I can tell you
And-
this
Call-
much.
Talk to Shelley.
It's not part of our,
But-
it shouldn't be part of our.
It should
can't
be though.
But the council said that they didn't.
Here's the thing, different years they were signed, so of course they're gonna change with those. And then even the newest ones that went out, the newer ones, the 5 or 6, even that got changed with the attorneys. And how many years ago was that? Buttercup.
Oh, Buttercup was a new yeah.
Yeah, so I mean, every time it gets reviewed by the attorneys and whatever is, but some of the contracts are like, if there's no changes, we keep renewing it every year.
Correct.
Yeah, that's the way it is. You don't need to make more paperwork. And I think what's being forgotten here is that the city has been without an administrator for how many years, and they needed one badly.
20.
And now they have someone, Shelley, in here trying to help out with that stuff. And how long has she been in place?
8 months.
So I
Have to
don't,
prioritize.
it has to be a priority. I mean,
But Patty's main question was to this committee. If she is not directed specifically by this committee to look into these documents and to pursue this matter, she can't.
the contracts are not part of what the committee is doing.
But they should be.
It's part of.
But
our
it's not.
water.
The city council said no. So there's no argument here.
When did they say that? Just out of curiosity,
February 14th.
last year? Last year?
I was what?
You're working.
February 14th last year.
Yeah.
Okay, well,
That's a one meeting I've missed.
so I did this on my own because I was frustrated with the age of these contracts.
Yeah.
And the inaccurate information that was being stated about it. So I got
Can I make a
copies.
suggestion? Why don't we add that to, ask for some special time at our council meeting to present that? And
Shay,
I've
I
been
mean,
the
I'll do
mayor
it
for,
again.
since the 8th.
Oh, so
It's a
you're,
whole different thing now,
okay,
right? So we have Kim that's new, we have Chris that's new, you have a new mayor, it's a whole different game now.
and I would love to be able to do that.
Yeah, but so considering where last council put those contracts.
Yeah,
That puts it under the purview of council.
okay,
So if you were to address council, that council, because I don't speak for council, I'm one of
right,
many voices.
right,
Could then say, we don't want to deal with this, we would like the water advisory committee to do it.
okay,
And then whatever we were to vote on today would be reactivated,
okay.
right? So it's not a
I'm
question
good
of
with
trying to silence anybody or to hide contracts or anything like this. It's literally where we are right now is we're discussing things that we have a portion of the information now, and we're gonna have all of the information in 2 months. And so it's easier to set it all out on the table at one point and be like, here's what we finally got. Jason's gonna have a big presentation, AKS would be, right? And I think that we table that until that can occur. And I think that we schedule that meeting when it's done. I mean, that's what my opinion is. And again,
I'm
it's
good
not
with
to
that.
discount anybody's hard work in any way. It's just to make a most effective time or a most effective use of our time.
Right.
Yeah.
No, I'm good with that.
At least we didn't go to blows. Portland had an issue.
Oh, did they?
A couple months
Okay,
ago
well.
where they went to blows at their council meeting.
Well, and I
We're not gonna do that here.
I do think as a committee that we need to make sure we're not going off on our own to do things and contact other agencies without committee approval. I think that that's not correct procedure in my mind.
Yeah,
Because I don't know what Jason's dates are for the impound structure thing, but I know that there's in-stream rules, so.
Yeah.
And we have to follow them, so everybody else is gonna have to follow them, so.
Well, of course, any private citizen can ask any question they want. You know,
But don't represent City of Yamhill.
yeah.
Well,
Right.
but you also, I was cautioned actually by the previous mayor. Not that I had done it, but I was looking into some things. She says, be very cautious not to mention that you're a city council member when asking questions as a private person, because it puts weight onto the
It
question
does.
that has not been authorized.
Yep.
Yeah,
And I understand that with Shelley, and I appreciate her telling me
Yeah.
that, and I have no problem with not representing this council unless directed to. But I do have a problem with censuring this group for the next several months.
Well, it depends on how long it is.
Well,
Well, until the Merkley grant's done, there's no point to keep coming in here and talking about contracts, and we have no, I mean,
Right,
but
Okay.
here's another thing. Again, if God forbid there was some sort of major crisis that came along the lines, right? I mean, it takes what, 24, 48 hours for council to have an emergency meeting where they reactivate the Water Advisory Commission because
so are
It's
we
needed.
shutting down the water committee or are we just putting the meetings on hold for a couple
we're
months?
pushing the meeting,
Yeah.
so, but I can make a motion, correct, Angie? As,
It would be best for someone else to make the motion.
I can entertain it.
Yes.
So I would entertain a motion that we put our meetings on hold until we have Merkley grant completed and we have information to come back to the table with.
Okay, so
With
do
it,
we have
hello.
a ballpark? So are we looking
Probably
at
3 months.
April?
I'm gonna give us a buffer of 6 months.
But,
Really?
yeah, the time, the Merkley grant's not done yet, you know?
Yeah.
So to put a date on the Merkley grant, our first water advisory board, I'm pretty sure that, what's her name, that sat here in the corner said, we have the Merkley grant funds. And we never have, so now that's been how many years ago? So
Right.
we don't have any say in when that Merkley grant is actually gonna put any money out there. So until that's done and the study's done, we just need to put these meetings on hold, and when that's all comes back in, then we can start it back up again.
So June?
I wouldn't put a date, I'd put it when they're done, completed.
Yeah, I would-
on the completion of the Merkley grant.
Upon completion of the Merkley grant and AKS study, water study.
So obviously somebody's gonna say something, whether it be at a city council meeting or whatever, so that we know that we need to then.
Likely Jason.
Right. As soon as we have the information gathered, I'll let everybody know at the city council meeting.
I make the
then-
motion, oh, sorry.
And then you're going to be the one that makes a decision, because I know it's a ways off. But the way our weather's been funky, not knowing what's going on from one day to the next, the way it is, you're gonna make the decision sometime in May, depending on what the weather is, or issues with the water,
To
right?
move us to a different level.
Yeah. Okay. And I'm good with that,
But
but what?
I have an issue with this putting stuff into effect when we don't have a water issue. Because in June, if you put this out, if you go to this restrictions, everybody goes, oh my God, we're out of water, and it's an ongoing thing. You're not gonna have the water that's going by the intake in June you're not saving it till August, it's gone, it's.
I
gone
understand
down.
that, Kathy, but
But to put everybody in a heart rate and oh my God, and the city council and city people take all this stuff because you've put restrictions into place when technically they're voluntary, they're not real restrictions. I don't think it's the right way to do it. I think you need to wait until there's an actual issue.
So Jason and I have actually spoken about this, and so moving into this year, and we didn't talk about implementation, but there are things that you can do. For example, when Rocky, I believe it was, that asked for water usage and for flow rates, those are things that I think that we can put out early in the year and say, hey, we still have water, the flow rate's this, and we have that, and do that. And then I think what Patty's saying is correct. If we start to have a situation where it does need to be curtailed, that's when we,
right,
But it should
like
be
in
top of,
May,
but it should be top of mind from, like you're saying, May
right?
through the end of the season, right? To be aware of it, because you don't want to, I think we can all agree we were a little bit behind a couple years ago.
Couple years
Couple
ago,
years
this
ago.
year you did
Yeah.
good, or last year was great.
But
The holes.
Because there's nothing saying that you can't do a level one, which is, pay attention to what you're doing, because potentially, I mean, that's basically all it says, is pay attention to what you're doing.
But I think what Kathy's trying to say is that people read the level one and that people don't read the entire thing. They read the headline and then they panic and they tell everybody how terrible everything is because we're out of water.
Okay, whose fault is that?
But
People,
we can't fix that.
I know it, but for the most part,
Well,
there's a lot of people that have lived in this city for a lot of years. And the newbies that are coming into town, they need to start paying attention from the get-go.
Mhm.
If they don't know that we're getting water out of Turner Creek, then something's wrong. Turner Creek is not an endless, water source. And the sooner people understand that, the better off we're gonna be, because then they have to start paying attention to what the heck is going on
Sure.
when we have no rain for, however many months, and it's hotter than normal.
But again, that's Jason's job.
Right.
He's gonna have that top of mind. I mean, he styled that out last year. It was beautiful the way that you know what I mean?
Yeah,
You have to admit it was.
yes, no, it was, it was good,
And so I have every confidence that this year will be the same as last.
but I don't think coddling people is the answer either, I don't,
Well, I don't think that's coddling to put out the information,
no,
I don't think so.
I don't
As long
either.
as we're putting out information that's informative and keeps everybody up to date as to what's going on, I don't see an issue with that. And if there needs to be a water change in the level, Jason can make that decision.
100%. And again, we can always reconvene. Just because we put this on hiatus now, doesn't mean that another situation wouldn't overrule that. I mean, we could start tomorrow if if Jason comes in and says, oh my gosh, right? Then
Hopefully not in January.
No, but the reality of it is that's how fast it changes.
Yeah.
Right,
And as soon as we have something new to talk about, then we can start talking again.
Yes, ma'am.
Sorry I'm late, obviously, I was clipping away and went, oh my God, there's a water meeting. So Sherry Wilson, and what you're talking about is great. I think that it would be nice, like we talked about before, if the true information was written down. I mean, recently I just had somebody on Adcock Road, Facebook saying, oh my God, they're getting, we don't get our water. And saying that we in town get 8,000 gallons for our, and I had, she ended up deleting it, but it's like, no, that isn't the case. We get 4,000 gallons and we pay for those 4,000 gallons.
Right.
You guys pay by the 1,000, whether you.
And every district is different, and Adcock Road is very expensive.
Yeah.
They've done some weird things with their rates.
Okay, which is, I mean, that's their rates, but don't try to make it out like we're getting 4 times as much water as they are for, apples to
Totally different
apples.
concept, but
Yes,
you're not gonna educate those people. People in town that that they turn their water on in the faucet, that's all they wanna know. Got water coming out of my faucet? I don't care where it comes from. And you're not gonna change that mentality on a lot of people,
but.
in or out of town.
I'm sorry that those people aren't gonna listen, but the truth of the
I know.
matter is, we all need to be conscientious about it.
Sure.
And not be spreading rumors, because that's what gets the fire going and.
Mhm.
I'm not quite sure why they didn't call for rates from City Hall.
That's what I said. I said, please get your facts straight, because this is the situation, and if we go above the 4,000 gallons that we pay $78 a month for, 78 something, then we pay at a higher rate, for the next 1,000 gallons. It's not that, but in the wintertime, no, I don't. We use about 2,000 gallons in the wintertime. Oh yeah, summer comes and I'm like way up off the charts. But I pay for it, and if it came, but it's like they get to pay per $1,000, I mean, per 1,000 gallons is my understanding. And so for each 1,000 gallons, so they're paying for what they use a little more so than what the people in town
Yeah.
are, so.
The rates for out of town did go up significantly with the
Sorry.
rates.
Did everybody get their electric bill?
Oh, yeah, that too.
Holy crackamole.
Yeah.
All right, so let's make that
Do
motion
we make a
again.
motion to,
I move that the Water Advisory Committee be put in a hiatus until AKS completes the study associated with the Merkley grant, or until such a time that the city council asks for it to reconvene.
Absolutely.
I second, I can't second it. Someone else needs to second it.
I second.
Any more discussion? All in favor?
Corrigan, I.
Caroline,
Davis, aye.
and Phillips, aye.
Okay.
Bill, aye. And no opposed.
No vote.
Okay, so we are on hold until we get a notice that we're back on.
I make a motion, we adjourn.
Thank you. We're done.